Hi, I'm Suzanne Ehlers, and this is Not Really Strangers, the podcast where we explore just how connected the refugee experience is to our everyday lives and to the social issues that matter most to us. Thanks for joining us for another conversation with a brand new guest, here to share the story of how they came to realize that their story and the refugee story were intertwined. By the end of this episode, you'll see that in this global community, the distance between us is often much shorter than we think. Let's dive in. I am so happy to be here with you today. Thank you, Ahmed, for joining this conversation.
Of course. Thank you very much for having me.
Wonderful. I'm going to start with, where are you dialing in from? Where are our listeners hearing you as you record this?
Now I am in San Diego.
What's the weather like in
Yes.
San Diego?
It's amazing. It's warm. The sun is shining. I can't wait to just lay down in the sun. I had a really crazy week. I just premiered my movie, The Dancer. It's a documentary about my life in Amsterdam. So
wow.
I just arrived last night after a full-hearted week. I want to call it like this. Felt happy, felt loved, felt proud. So happy about my life now.
Well, based on those words, I imagine I know the answer to this, but just tell us a little bit. What was it like to premiere? What was it like to watch parts of your life story unfold on the big screen? Just tell us a little bit of that emotion.
It was a big roller coaster, and it was also empowering for myself, even not only for the audience, because every time I watch my life in front of my eyes, I feel like, wow, I came long way.
Yeah.
I was born as a stateless refugee in a refugee camp for stateless refugees in Damascus, Syria. And I grew up there in that camp up to the point until the war started. And then that camp was fully destroyed and we had to leave. And of course, I'm a ballet dancer, so living in a camp as a male ballet dancer was a bit challenging. And when the war started in Syria, all these extremists came to the country and they started hunting artists. And my name was the dancer that they want. It's the name of the movie now, The Dancer.
The Dancer.
So yeah, I received a lot of threats, like they wanted to cut my head and things like that. And I talk about it in a very casual way nowadays, like after I did my therapy for PTSD and for all the things I worked on myself.
Yeah.
And I had a tattoo on my neck called Dance or Die as a response for these threats. And of course, I danced in places like my bombed home or like on the Roman theater in Palmyra, where these people used to execute people on that theater. And my response with them was, this theater is for dance, it's not for killing people. So I've been active in arts rights and human rights and refugee rights since the beginning of my career. And watching all of this with all the success I've been achieving, thanks to the Dutch National Ballet, thanks to Rose Bekapoli, who came to Syria and filmed me and made a reportage about me, and then the Dutch National Ballet saw it, brought me to the Netherlands, gave me a new life, amazing life. And then, of course, I went through the culture shock. I went through PTSD. I went through the developing myself as an adult as well. I left my home. I was 25, 26 years old. And that was the first time I left my mother, and I didn't leave her to go live by my side with a partner. I left her in the war to go survive, to go pursue my dream and to live, which made me feel guilty to be happy all the time. But I could support her. I could help her. I could help my whole family. So I've been a stranger and the Netherlands took me in.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna get to that word later. What does it
Yeah.
mean to be a stranger? But what a beautiful experience last week must have been, and I am so happy for you that you felt so happy and so seen and loved and supported. It's what we all want all the time, and sometimes there's these periods where it's like on high alert because something so special is being shared with the world, and that intersection of art and dance and human rights. So I'll go back then to a more, you're dialing in from beautiful San Diego. I'm dialing in
Uh-huh.
from Washington, D.C. And you've just mentioned a lot of places. You've mentioned the Netherlands. You've mentioned Syria and Damascus, where I was last November. Tell us what you consider your home to be. And what is that word of home? What does it mean to you? What does it signal?
Well, I heard a saying that says, wherever you float, it is called home.
Hmm. Hmm.
And since then, I feel my body actually my home as a dancer. So
Hmm.
wherever I go, I learned how to adapt. I learned how to to include myself. I learned how to belong. It is complex, of course. It is
Hmm.
complex because I grew up as a stateless, and they made sure to make me learn it very well. What does that mean? Um, so wherever I go, I have people that love me. Wherever there is a dance studio, wherever there is a theater, that's home. Wherever I feel loved, that's home. Wherever you feel safe, that's home. But yeah, I don't know. I do not have an answer for that because I learned as a as I don't know how to say how to describe for a person who feels he doesn't belong anywhere but yet
Hmm.
belongs everywhere.
Belongs everywhere. I mean, you
Yeah.
did have a beautiful answer to that question. There was so much. I love I've never heard someone say it like that, that you learned how to belong. I think
Mhm,
we often put belonging as someone else's responsibility to make me feel welcome or included. But there is a part of it also that's up to us, that we
mhm.
can make a decision to learn and adapt to belong in a space, hopefully a space where we're loved and supported and we feel safe. But that was really interesting. And then this idea, I'm thinking of, I've seen you perform dance, to think of that floating and what does it mean to be at home in our bodies. And your body, of course, is pushing you to do this beautiful artistic expression. So there's a more physical notion to that home in your own body that I love to reflect on as well.
I can see my home when I'm dancing in my body because you can see the merge of the Eastern and the Western dance together. You can see the ballet that I have been dancing and learning and developing since 20 years. And you can see also the Sufi dervish dance where I could merge it with the ballet, and that I used to watch my mother's uncles in Palmyra doing these
Hmm.
rituals when I was a
Hmm.
little kid. So if you bring these together and the resistance and the advocacy by using dance for a voice for stateless people,
Yeah.
that's what I mean when I say my body is my home, because it brings all of these together. I bring my family with me on stage. I bring my
Yeah.
ancestors. I bring my culture. Yet I do not feel that I belong to Syria, unfortunately,
Hmm.
because I am not a Syrian national.
Right.
I do
Well,
not have it on papers. Yeah.
this is this next question, and
Mhm.
you've already started to tell us a little bit of this story. So I'd love for you to, talk about your own displacement and your family's displacement. And I think many of our listeners will know the term stateless, but I'm not sure that they'll understand. Let's break it down for them. And so you've already said some pieces, but tell us as much as you're willing to share about your journey. Through displacement and the different places where you've been, that takes us to being with you here today.
Yeah. The word stateless. Well, statelessness in Syria is not by choice. You don't leave a country and go to another country and become a refugee. I was born there. I was born there. My father was born there, yet we are stateless. My nephew, my little nephew, now also stateless. He's 3 years old and he's born in Syria. He's a fourth generation and still stateless. What I mean by generation, it's since the Arab Israeli war. All the Palestinian refugees who left Palestine and became refugees in Syria, Syria became since then a host country, which led to generations of human beings that have no sense of belonging, that have no rights, that
Yeah.
have to literally fight to survive. We don't have ID, like national IDs.
Right.
We don't have passports. We only have a limited residence permit that can be stopped anytime a leader wants to.
Right.
And if they stop that, where do we go?
I agree with that. And there's so much in that powerful story that you shared, let's remind the listener, some of this is very basic. When we say stateless, remember, we're no registration, no identity documents that are truly your own, no passports. You cannot travel. You cannot move freely around the world. There is no country that claims you. And so then therefore, there's no country that owes you any set of rights or duties or protection. So much of what UNHCR does when someone is on the move is providing them with this basic documentation. But statelessness is an issue that even confounds that.
Exactly. And I had one of these documents from the UN, from the United Nations, which is a travel document for stateless refugees in Syria. It's like dark blue little book that only papers. And when I needed to go to the Netherlands, right, I was offered a scholarship by Dutch National Ballet. And so I had to go to Beirut, where I had to, struggle on the border always, like every stateless person. But because I had cameras around me, and Roj Bekapoli was there with his cameras to film me for my first documentary, which is Dance or Die. So they let me in because I had cameras. I had, they want to look good in front of cameras. And so I applied for the Dutch visa, and they literally printed the visa on an A4 paper because what I had was not a passport.
Right.
So I went to Amsterdam and I showed this A4 paper with a visa on it. And they're like, what is this? And they would you please wait on the side, like always? So they went and they checked it and they let me in. So this is how I traveled, because so many people ask me how, as a stateless person without a passport, you could go to the Netherlands. This is how I could go. They made an exception.
Yeah.
Exceptions are there. Opportunities are there, but they are not divided equally.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking of A4 paper, and if you have one in your printer at home, I might never look at A4 paper the same way now, thinking of the printing of that visa and that being, and also waiting in these long bureaucratic lines. I mean, there is so much time spent waiting, lack of clarity. I mean, you've lived this.
Yes, I kept that paper. I kept it and I will keep it forever.
Forever.
That paper changed my whole life.
Yeah. What is one message that you wish people better understood, either about statelessness or forced displacement? Like, what's one thing that if you could bust the myth, if you will, what would it be?
I would say we are not our governments. As human beings, we are not our governments. So when I will go somewhere and meet someone from another country, I am not my government, so I am not your enemy. I'm just a human being. I'm your brother.
Yeah.
So what I want to tell people, especially nowadays, please let's look at each other as human beings. We are not our governments. They make these decisions of wars, of whatever decisions they're making. It doesn't define us. We are human beings. We meet person to person, we respect each other person to person, and we love each other person to person. And if you think about it, why do we need to fight for something our grandparents, great-great-grandparents were fighting for? Why are we today fighting for it? We were born somewhere, we didn't have a choice to be Syrians or Palestinians or Israelis or Dutch or Americans. We didn't have this choice.
Yeah.
We didn't have this choice. So why would I come and blame you?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I know I'm thinking of that answer, and I'm thinking of someone in the crowd last week that's watching this movie and watching the performance of your dance. How much do you think it matters to the average audience member that you are stateless? Are they watching you only as an artist and as a dancer? Or do you think that experience is made more powerful because you have this story that interweaves human rights and dance? Where do you think your audience experience is?
I think my audience experience both.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am my story. I carry my story like luggage wherever I
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Like, my lived experience, it's very exciting and it's very difficult, and life goes on. And
Mm-hmm.
as long as life goes on, dance goes on.
When you think of the world of dance and the melding, as you said earlier, of East and West and different traditions, what's next for you? What are you most excited that you will achieve as a dancer?
I think for now, what I'm thinking about is like my being, that I am alive today and I am dancing today by itself is a revolution.
Yeah.
That was not the plan for so many big forces,
Yeah.
you know? So the fact that I'm alive today and I'm dancing today and I'm experiencing, like, for example, premiere of a movie about my history of dance,
Mm-hmm.
my book, which is there forever, that my
Mm,
biography, and the people, when they look at me, when they see me dance, and they're having in their mind, oh, this man
mm,
was supposed to be killed 10 years ago
yeah. Yeah.
if they succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So having this in mind and looking at me still dancing, bringing all of these cultures together and being there and being a voice for my people, this empowers me every day. I am now I am now working on an opera. For the first time in my life, I'm going to dance in an opera. I always danced ballet in ballet companies or my own style, my own stuff. But in an opera, this is the first time. And I'm playing the main role, Gilgamesh opera.
Mm,
I'm playing Young Gilgamesh, which is gonna be performed next weekend. That's why I'm here. So I'm going to LA tomorrow to start
wow.
a week of theater
Yeah.
rehearsals.
Yeah.
It's amazing working in this opera. It is by the Assyrian institution. It's like, Syria was part of Assyria years and thousands of years ago, because, we are all in the Middle East, used to be part of several empires. And the oldest, the oldest story in the history that was found carved on stone is Gilgamesh story.
Mm,
This demigod who has this amazing power because his mother is a goddess and his father is a human. So he had this power that he built Uruk, the city, with high walls. And they found the story actually on these stones. And this Gilgamesh was a brutal leader for his people. He was like
mm,
experiencing all of this um, brutality. I'm going to use this word
yeah.
on
Yeah.
his people. And then the goddess Ashtar, or all the gods, they decided to make him. They want to soften him for his people. Why are you so bad? So the goddess Ashtar wanted to. She created for him Enkidu, which is a friend. She created him from the underworld, which is half human and half animal, and he meets Gilgamesh, and then they wrestle, and then they become friends, and then Gilgamesh loves him, loves his friend, and then he discovers his human side by loving
Mm,
his friend.
mhm.
Long story short, his friend will be killed with the ball of heaven that Ashtar sends because she's angry. Gilgamesh doesn't want to be with her. So um, then he experiences grief and loss. So for me to experience this on stage and bring this story to life, like how leaders can think they are demigods by just having the power and
Yeah.
start practicing this power on their people, they can do whatever they want. But then the way to discover your human side is by love.
It's by love. Yeah.
When we think of love or somebody who is loved, how can for someone who feels loved, how can they hurt anyone? I don't think anyone who feels loved can hurt somebody. So this is a message for our leaders. Power can make you feel you are a demigod, yes. But
Yeah.
how about bring your legacy through love?
So I just love this role for you. It sounds like such a powerful opportunity to again like manifest so much of your physical artistry, but also what's in your heart in terms of your beliefs and your
Yes.
philosophy. I wonder if this next question, I think it's a nice follow-on because you're exploring so many ways of knowing and not knowing other people. We're called Not Really Strangers, the podcast.
Mhm.
What does being a stranger mean to you? What does that word mean to you in this moment in the world?
Being a stranger, I grew up like a stranger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A stranger means someone who's dangerous because we don't know who they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we were taught when we were little children. But then how can we nowadays decide this person is a danger without knowing this
Without
person,
knowing them. Right.
right? Like you need to know the person to decide if they are dangerous or not, or at least see them, or like at least a little encounter to make you understand.
Yeah.
Um, but I see nowadays like a lot of people say refugees are strangers. No,
Mm-mm.
today I am the refugee.
Yeah.
Tomorrow it might be you.
Mm-hmm.
So let's be nice to each other. We are looking at a world that making countries fall every single day.
Mm-hmm.
So that provides a lot of refugees, right? If we keep consider each other strangers, how can we help each other?
Yeah. Yeah, there's not, the idea of the title, Not Really Strangers, is that we create or we invent this distance and this difference between us. And the word you used was so important for me, other, right? Like we've sort of convinced ourselves that those people have those concerns, they're not mine. And yet what you've talked about throughout this conversation is, sort of shared emotions and shared humanity. I mean, stories from thousands of years ago that are about grief and loss and losing our mother, and it's all this interrelated sort of narrative that we share as humanity. And I think the stranger idea is like we're not really, right? We just haven't asked, or we just haven't, allowed ourselves to really see the humanity in others and how close, frankly, it is to our reality, even if the circumstances look wildly different. At its core, it's shared.
Yeah. I always like a sentence that says, I was a stranger and you took me in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I always use this sentence
Mhm.
for the Netherlands because the moment I got the Dutch passport, I just started seeing life in colors.
Yeah. Mm,
I just started having open doors.
mm,
Strange. The moment I touched that red passport,
yeah.
strange.
Yeah.
I
That.
people need to understand how belonging is a privilege.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a
And
right, but for
and what it
people
makes
is a
and what it
privilege.
makes possible, this idea of seeing life in color, that's so beautiful. I'll hold on to that, just
Yeah.
this sort of documentation. It feels, for those who have it, you take it for granted. And it's not
Yes.
until you have it that you then really appreciate and understand all that it unlocks and makes possible. And that is living life in Technicolor. That's 100% true.
Mhm. Some people have two nationalities even.
Hmm.
Some people have none.
Yeah. I'm glad that we were able to explore statelessness because it's not been a theme that's come up with as many other guests, and I do think that I want our listeners to be educated about it. So I've asked you all sorts of more technical questions, and we've
Mm.
explored your art. My last question is actually, I hope, a really beautiful one, and this is the idea that when we sit around a shared table and we break bread together, we're often able to really condense the distance and make community and even make a form of family. And so I want to ask if you could you could set the table for a beautiful dinner. And don't worry, we'll have the best chefs. We'll make sure your mother is there. We'll source ingredients from wherever. What is on that dinner table for that meal? What do you dream?
I don't care what is on there. I care who is in there.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Like that brings to my mind actually the dinners we have in the World Economic Forum. I'm a cultural leader since 2021 and a young global leader since 2024 with the World
Oh.
Economic Forum. So
I'm
we
one
have
too, but
this.
I'm a lot older than you. So I joined back in maybe
Yes.
2012 or something. We'll have to
Oh
fight
my
each other.
God, here we are.
Yeah.
See
Always
how
YGLs. Always.
right? Isn't this the best community?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the young global leaders, oh my God.
Yeah.
This has
Yeah.
been like the most beautiful 3 years because like I learned a lot. I met a lot of people and yeah, it added a lot of to me being a young global leader, also a cultural leader. Like we have these dinners, the cultural dinner they call it, and
Mhm.
it's by Joseph in Davos, and we bring like all of these cultural leaders together, and then we have these dinners, and we talk about our work and how important that we have, to support the culture and art nowadays, because that's where we get the good opportunities or the right choices for children, let's say, or for whoever needs to express themselves in an elegant way. Um, so that kind of dinners I love because, we inspire each other.
What I heard from your dinner is that less about what's served and more about who makes up the table and do we have a conversation of kind of shared courage and appreciation and respect for each other's kind of craft and art. And I would love to be at that dinner. It sounds like it will be
You are
amazing.
more than welcome.
Thank you. And thank you for this conversation and for sharing some difficult aspects of your journey and for being so candid with us. I know that you believe that storytelling is the way to people's hearts and minds, and you have just told a story that will move anybody that listens to it and will help them, I think, see the world around them differently, but will also help them see even art and the expression of art through this lens of purpose and human rights. And I really, I'm grateful for that change.
Thank
Thank
you
you so
very
much for
much.
the time.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing my story to your platform. We really need stories nowadays. Stories can change the world. So thank you for doing this. I am very happy to be here. Thank you.
It was an honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening. Your time is valuable, and it means a lot that you've chosen to spend it here. You can find today's show notes, including how to connect with today's guest, at unrefugees.org/notreallystrangers. That's unrefugees.org/notreallystrangers. While you're there, I hope you'll consider making a donation to the organization I lead, USA for UNHCR, to help us provide more support for refugees here in the US and around the world. If this episode was impactful, please take a moment to review the show and share the episode with a friend or family member. This small action will help us have a much bigger impact. Thanks so much. Don't be a stranger.